Welcome everyone to Week 2 of Prospect Basketball Weekly, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. I'm your host, Jack Ankeny, joined again with Coach Cameron Riddell. Thanks for coming, Coach.
Nice to be back with you, Jack.
Yep. So in your first game of the season, you guys battled hard with a good Evanston team. What was your biggest takeaway from that game?
Our biggest one is that a lot of our guys began to learn how quick the game moves. We came out, and there was a point we were down 19-5, and called a timeout. Rath and I talked with the guys a little bit, and from there it was a steady climb back into the game. And we saw immediately, I thought it was a great sign for the rest of the year, that even when we're down against a very athletic, experienced team, that we can still battle back and play in a game.
Okay. So a slow start kind of compounded with great shooting from St. Viator in the second game, kind of hurt you guys in the first half. What do you think you can do in the future to get off to better starts?
Yeah, I mean, that was an honest game. We got blitzed. we really did. You know, they came out. Obviously, I thought the atmosphere, as always with that game, is great. You know, they were honoring their state championship baseball team from this past spring. And yeah, it's not to be repetitive, but yeah, we got blitzed. They shot the lights out. We missed a lot of open shots, but they really put us into uncomfortable positions. And so in terms of going back for film, I think the takeaway from that game was our guys were really receptive to what happened. We didn't try and gloss over anything, and it gave us a great opportunity to then move forward into the two games after Thanksgiving, where we did really well. Yeah,
so those two games, you guys finished the tournament strong against Libertyville and Highland Park. What do you think the difference was in those two games compared to the first two?
I think just getting, a little experience as a group. Every high school team, we're not alone in this. Every high school team has to deal with a new host of guys coming in each year, and it takes time getting used to playing with each other, spacing the floor, when to cut, where to screen, how to screen, all these little intricacies of the game that take time. I say all good relationships take time. You need patience when you go through it. Obviously, everybody wants to be playing their best basketball as soon as possible, but I thought the second half of the tournament was a great sign. We learned lessons very early in the first couple of games, and I think we changed by the second two.
Okay. How did you see the team develop throughout the course of 4 games?
I think the biggest thing is they got more confident with their defensive rotation, which obviously Rathy's going to be really happy about. I thought we shot the ball extremely well in that Libertyville game. We hit 9 threes in the first half. Libertyville threw 4 different zone defenses, man and zone defense, but 4 different defensive looks in the first half. Our guys adapted on the fly. I thought our seniors did really well, and we got good contributions off the bench from juniors and seniors alike.
Okay. What do you think the team will learn most from these games as you approach now the MSLE season?
Yeah, now it gets real. We get to play, begin to play for what is a very long, drawn-out drive to try and win a division championship. We got to go on the road to do it, and I think what I love the most about the Viator tournament is you get to see 4 different styles of play. You get just about every type of player that you'll face. We faced big men, faced shooters, we faced lightning quick guards. And what it does is it lets us know where we have deficiencies, but also where we can excel. And I think it's now our job to help our team see that both through film, through scouts, and through drills we do in practice as we move into the East season this Friday.
Okay. Thank you, Coach Cameron Riddell. And next up, an interview with senior guard Tim Lussenhop.
Welcome back to Prospect Basketball Weekly. I'm Wyatt Utrecht. I'm here with senior guard Tim Lussenhop. Tim, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What do you think the team struggled most with in the first 2 games of the season?
I think in the first 2 games in the season, the team struggled a lot with the way that we started, both against Evanston and St. Viator. We got blitzed right from the start and kind of dug ourselves a hole.
What did you do to bounce back after 2 losses to then win 2 games in a row?
Yeah, so after that Viator game, we kind of got handled on their court in front of a lot of fans, so we were really disappointed about it. So I think the guys use that as kind of motivation to really come out and play our hardest against Libertyville.
After 4 games, what do you think will make this team successful going forward?
So I think that we have enough athletes to really do a good job on the defensive end. So I think that when it comes down to it and we kind of remember principles better in the game, I think we'll be able to get a lot of stops and create a lot of turnovers.
Being the team captains and primary ball handlers, how do you and David Swadura work together to lead the Knights?
Yeah, so since David had a lot of varsity experience last year, but I necessarily didn't, we just try our best to lead the guys, the younger guys coming up, all the juniors, and kind of just lead by both example and by being very vocal in practice, and just try and make it as easy as possible on them.
What will be your main focus heading into Friday's game against Elk Grove?
Our main focus is just to keep getting better as a team. It's a long season, and even though we probably had the start that we didn't want, we just have to continue building on the momentum we gained in the last 2 games.
Tim, thank you. And up next, a interview with assistant coach Brad Rathie. Welcome back to Prospect Basketball Weekly. I'm here with assistant coach Brad Rathie. Coach, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
What do you think the team needed to do differently defensively to change the outcome of the first 2 games?
You know, our first 2 games, we really struggled with containing the ball. We gave up a lot of easy drives to the hoop. We didn't pressure the ball all that much, but still didn't contain it. So that was clearly one of our issues through the first 2 games, was just being able to guard the ball a little bit better.
What adjustments do you think helped the team pick up 2 wins in a row to end the tournament?
Sure. Well, you know, number one, we tried to back off our pressure a little bit more, except for guarding Peterson on Libertyville, who's about 6'8" and has multiple Division I offers. So we had to still pressure him, but for the most part, we tried to back off our pressure on the other guys. Now, it also definitely made a difference that the guards from Evanston and from St. Viator are good. They were really tough. So you know, I think that a lot of our games will go this year as we can control the guard play.
What was your main message to the team at the end of the tournament?
You know, that overall 2-2 is a good outcome from that tournament. It's a tough tournament, really good established programs there, and if you can get 2 wins like that, that's a good thing. But you know, this obviously is heading into the more important part of our season.
After seeing them play 4 games, what does this team's mentality need to be defensively for the rest of the season?
Yeah, you know, we need to defend as a unit. That it's not about just individual guys. That's not really how you play team defense. That we have to have our help side established. We have to rebound from all 5 positions. We have to talk to each other. So really trying to establish the fact that you know, we need to do this together more so than individually. And if you move together as a unit, good things can happen.
Heading into your game against Elk Grove, who are some of the players the defense will key on in order to limit the Grenadiers' offense?
You know, Elk Grove struggled a little bit in their first couple of games out of the gates in their Thanksgiving tournament. They don't have any returners of note that we'll need to specifically key in on, but they are a program that traditionally plays exceptionally hard. They got guys coming off the bench that can make shots, that can make plays, and if you don't match their intensity, as we haven't sometimes on their court in the last few years, they can beat us. They're dangerous. So that effort has to be there first to kind of set the tone that they're not going to play harder than us and just win the game that way.
Thank you, Coach, and stay tuned for a preview of Friday's game with head coach John Camardella.
Welcome back, everyone, to Week 2 of Prospect Basketball Weekly. Coach Camardella is back to preview the Knights' first MSL East game against Elk Grove. So, Coach, Elk Grove might have had a little bit of a rough start to the season. What will the team need to do to not look past them and come out with a strong performance?
Well, I think even yesterday in practice, we spent most of the time on us. And I think that's where most teams are at right now. You know, we'll obviously put together an Elk Grove scout heading into the game. But this early in the season, I think most teams are focusing, as we are. We're focusing on really who we are. And until we get an identity, until we know who we are, we're not going to be able to throw all of our focus onto our opponent. So I think early in the season, we'll do sort of half and half. You know, later in the season, once we know who we are, we understand our lineup and our rotation a little bit more. We'll do a more in-depth scout. You know, early, I think it's more half and half. So yesterday and today is really about us. We'll move into an Elk Grove scout Wednesday and Thursday, but going on the road in the MSL is never easy, and we do our best to try and pick up some games.
Okay. What do you think will be some points of emphasis during practice this week in preparation for Elk Grove?
I think the biggest thing, and you know, we spent a good hour on it yesterday. You know, Rathie had the guys working on denials. He had them working on rotations, and what we talked to the entire team about is about multiple efforts. You know, a lot of times we'll give the initial effort, but then it's about going to the second and third, and sometimes the fourth rotation out of defense, communication, rebounding, going to the glass. And we started to see it as the tournament continued, that when guys really go to the glass hard, when they share the ball and take care of the ball, that we really have opportunities to be successful.
Okay. What adjustments do you think you'll need to make in advance of these games after seeing the team play 4 games already?
The biggest adjustment, I think shot selection's been pretty good. You know, I always tell our guys hot or about to get hot. You know, those are the only options we give them as shooters. And so it's just those small things, is learning to be confident in the pace of the game. You know, the style of the game changes. You know, Coach Furman and I have known each other and been going against each other for over a decade now, and so we sort of know how our programs run. So we have an idea of what the game will be like, and so now it's our job to prep our team to get ready for those.
Okay. What do you think the biggest part of the game you'll need to execute well in order to beat Elk Grove?
Well, I always look at it starting primarily from the offensive end, and I really want to make sure that we're taking care of the ball. We're really looking to try and get players cutting to the hoop. We did drills yesterday to try and get that into their mind early this week, is that we want guys looking at the hoop, not just settling for jump shots. So that's something I'm going to be looking for early, is guys getting to the rim, guys spacing the floor.
Okay. How important is it to start the MSLE season off with a win to set the tone for the rest of the year?
Yeah, it's vital. And we've had times in the past, you know, this first game, it's not the end-all, be-all, but it really does give you an idea of there's only 10 games, you know, and we sort of have this formula that you protect home court and you try and steal as many as you can on the road. And that Friday night game is always, you know, really, really special, especially the first one here coming up this week.
Okay, thank you, Coach Camardell, and that should do it for Week 2 of Prospect Basketball Weekly, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings in Mount Prospect. We'll see you next week.